Hello everyone, in this tutorial I'll walk you through setting up a Jenkins server on an AWS EC2 instance using Docker and Docker Compose. We'll create the EC2 instance, install CentOS, and then set up Docker and Docker Compose. After that, we'll write a simple Docker Compose file to pull the official Jenkins image, map the necessary ports, and ensure our Jenkins data is stored persistently. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a fully functional Jenkins server up and running, ready for continuous integration and deployment tasks. Let's dive in. So we'll go to EC2, go to instances, launch instance. We will make a new one. I will call it demo. I'll zoom in a little. Browse AMIs. Select CentOS. Make sure you select CentOS Stream 9. This is important because when we install Docker, the instructions say that if you wish to install Docker on CentOS, you need to have Stream 9 installed. Select, subscribe on instance launch. I will select, I'm going to be running Docker on this machine. You can select T2 micro to stay within the free tier, but I'm going to select I'll select T2 large because I'll just delete this after. I will create a new key pair. I will call this key demo. Create key pair. Notice how it got downloaded. This is important because I SSH into this I will SSH into this EC2 instance using WSL. I have WSL installed on my machine. I find doing it through the Windows terminal gives problems, but with WSL it works well. So we're going to have to copy this into our environment. I use Ubuntu on my Windows device, so I copied into my Ubuntu environment and then SSH into the EC2 instance. If you're not sure how to set it up the way I have set it up, I have a video where I show you how to install Ubuntu on Windows and have it running. So look for that video on my channel. Make sure you allow SSH traffic from anywhere and you open port 22. This will open port 22, otherwise you won't be able to remote into your VM. Later we will allow port 8080 because that's the port we will use to our Jenkins server will be listening on. 130 gigabyte root volume is enough. And that 30 gigabytes stays in the free tier. Next I will launch instance. The instance has been launched successfully. Next we must connect to this instance through SSH. I will open up a new terminal. WSL-D Ubuntu in order to use my distro. Next, I will cd into home. I have a folder named key. That's where I will keep my demo.pem that I downloaded. These are from my previous times that I did this, these are other keys not related to this demo. The key is currently located in my downloads folder of my Windows machine. We will use the copy command in order to copy it from the Windows machine to the appropriate folder, to the key folder in my Ubuntu environment. So CP for copy, the source, and the destination. So in this case, mount, and then C folder. It's in my downloads, and I just got to replace this with demo.pem. That's the name of my new key. We use mount because Windows folders are mounted to the Ubuntu environment. That's how they have access. Then /home/key is the destination. I will copy that, paste it. We have to do this with sudo. Now we will see our demo.pem is there. Next, if we go back to AWS, we will click the connect button. We can notice that they tell us to run this change mode to 400. Otherwise, you will get an error that your key is not private and it will not let you SSH into the device. I will run this. I must do that with sudo. Finally, let's try connecting to the instance with this command. So we got a permission denied. Let's try that again with sudo. Now we are in the instance. Next, let's install Docker on our EC2 instance. I have the instructions to install Docker, and you can easily search them up by searching up install Docker. Install Docker. Install Docker for CentOS. So as I mentioned, you must have CentOS 9. The installation instructions are very straightforward. We will copy these. Paste them. That is complete. Next, we will install the Docker engine. Simply copy this command and we will run it. Yes. Yes. Next, we will start Docker with this command. And finally, we will verify that the installation is successful by running the Hello World image. This message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. Let us run docker ps. We get a permission denied error. We can fix this error by running this command sudo user modify the EC2 user in order to be able to run the Docker commands without administrative privileges. Let's run docker ps again. The reason that error happened is because we need to log out and log back in order for the changes to take effect. Now we will log back in. So the sudo ssh demo.pem ec2 user at our ec2 instance. We're in. Now let's try docker ps and no error. And if we do all processes, we could see our hello world container that we just executed some moments ago. Next, let's download Docker Compose. We will make a Docker Compose file for our specifications to our Jenkins image and container. We can easily search up download Docker Compose. Now, if we scroll down and if we click install Compose as standalone, we can find this command to download and install Compose standalone. Run this command right here. We will copy that and we will paste it here. We have to execute that with sudo because, as you can see here, we got denied. Execute that with sudo. Now that is done. To finish up the installation, we must run this command. This command gives the executable permissions to the Docker Compose file located in the user/local/bin directory. So that's where the binary got installed, allowing it to run as a program. So this is typically done after installing Docker Compose. This is typically done after installing Docker Compose manually to make it runnable from the terminal. Let's go ahead and run this command. This isn't user. This isn't supposed to be a dot. It's supposed to be a slash. So we'll just change that to a slash, and that has been completed. Next, let's run Docker Compose to make sure that everything has been installed correctly. So we will simply run Docker Compose. It looks all good. Okay, next guys, we're going to make a directory called Jenkins-data in the home directory. This will hold our Docker Compose file. So we will run the command make directory Jenkins-data. And as you can see, we're in the home directory. ls, there's Jenkins data. cd into Jenkins-data. We will make another directory called Jenkins_home. This will hold all of our, this will be the directory that we will map to the volume inside our container in order to allow our data to persist if our container gets deleted. So we can see the directory we just made with this, the path with this command. Next, we're going to download the Jenkins image from Docker. So you can easily find the Jenkins image by just searching download Jenkins image, and you'll find it on Docker Hub. So we're going to use this Jenkins/Jenkins image. So we will simply copy this, paste it. It is being downloaded. Next, let us create our Docker Compose file. So we will type vi docker compose .yaml I have the Docker Compose file ready for you here. I'll provide this to you in the description so that we can just focus on the code. I'll break down what we're doing in this Docker Compose file line by line first. Version 3. This specifies the version of the Docker Compose file format. Version 3 is commonly used for multi-container applications and has a better support for production environments. Here, this is the key section where we define the individual containers, also known as services, that will be part of the application. In this case, we only have one service, Jenkins. This defines the Jenkins service, meaning it will run a Jenkins container. The service name Jenkins is what you use to refer to this container within the Docker Compose configuration. Here, this explicitly names the container Jenkins. By default, Docker names the containers using the service name, but this ensures it will always be Jenkins. This tells the Docker which image to use for the container. Here, we are using the official Jenkins Docker image from Docker Hub, which contains a ready-to-use Jenkins installation. This maps ports between the host machine in the EC2 instance and the container. This mounts a directory from the host to the container, allowing data to persist even when the container is stopped or removed. The PWD, or present working directory / Jenkins home, is the local directory on the host where the Jenkins data will be stored. This var /var / Jenkins home is a directory inside the container where Jenkins stores its data. Mapping the local directory to this path ensures Jenkins data is saved outside the container. Make sure you copy this exactly as it is. This is provided by Jenkins on the Docker documentation. This specifies that the Jenkins service is part of a custom network called net. Networks are useful for allowing services to communicate with each other or define isolated environments for containers. This section defines the custom network net used by Jenkins. By default, this will create a bridge network, allowing the container to communicate with other containers on this network. Now we will copy paste all of this YAML code, and we will go back to our terminal, and we will just paste it here. Now, in order to exit the Vim editor, you will press Escape, Shift:, and then Right, and then Quit, or WQ. Hit enter. Now we can see the Docker Compose file we just made. There it is. Let us run this Docker Compose file and get our server up and running. This error happens because there is some misspacing in the Docker Compose file. So if we go back here, I made a slight error. You have to be very careful. We must enter insert mode, and we must just slightly space these two lines. Otherwise, you will get this error as well. Escape, Shift:, Right, Quit. Let us try running that again. Oh wait, no, wrong command. Docker Compose up. There it is. Now our container is running. Now you might go and you might just, let's go to our EC2 instance. Now a very important thing, guys. Now we're going to try and connect to our Jenkins server, and we have to do one more very important step. So this is the public IP address. We need to go to security. And as you can see, only port 22 will be allowing inbound connections. So inbound means connections going into the device, allowing us to listen. But we mapped port 8080 to port 8080 of the container. So port 8080 isn't added to our inbound rules. So we need to add that right now. Otherwise, we're going to get an error. So right here, edit inbound rules, add a rule, custom TCP, port 8080, and we can allow any IP address to access this port. Save the rules. They have been saved. Now go back to our instance. Copy this address. And let's check out our server. There it is. Oh, but wait, we gotta unlock Jenkins. So where's the password? We can easily find it. They say it's in this folder. And we can easily find the password by running this command I will give you here. Right here, docker logs for our Jenkins container. So you can see docker ps. We have a container named Jenkins, and let's get the logs for that. Oh, wait, it's lowercase j. So here we're gonna find our password right here. Please use the following password to proceed to installation. So copy this, guys. Go back here and click continue. I'm going to choose to install the suggested plugins, and there we have it, guys. This is pretty cool. We got our Jenkins server up and running. We installed it on our EC2 instance. Let's go ahead and make our admin user. We will call them admin. Make a super difficult password. Confirm it. Full name will be admin. Email will be whatever you wish. Save and continue. This is our Jenkins URL. Say start using Jenkins. If we head back to our terminal, we can stop the container using docker compose stop like this. Now the container is stopped, so if we come back here, this will now give us an error. As you can see, it does not load. We can see our running containers, nothing, docker psa. There's our Jenkins container, it exited. We can remove the container using the docker compose down command. Now if we see all our containers, the Jenkins container is no longer there. And we can bring our container back up using docker compose up and -d for detached. And now if we refresh, it will be able to load again. We can log in with our credentials that we just created. And that's it. We've successfully set up a Jenkins server using Docker and Docker Compose on an AWS EC2 instance. Now you can start using Jenkins for all your automation, CI/CD pipelines, and more. If this tutorial helped you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more tech tutorials like this. Feel free to leave a question or suggestions in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.